And so I'll wait for it before I ask the question. Live.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's where this freaks me out, is the delay that I'm, right?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's okay.
So I just paused it for a second. So I copy this link and put it back into
Beautiful.
Yep. Okay. So from this point, we are live streaming through Zoom. So anybody on the public end of our page should be able to see what's going on. Is that right?
Yep, and it's working. I can see it on the public side. So well done. And so I think you did exactly the right thing, either pausing it or just turning off that audio on there, because it weirds me out also. But once you've gotten that link, you can totally get out of YouTube at all, so that you don't have those two things running, not just to help with your computer for the long run of this thing, but also so that you don't get the possibility of an echo, because sometimes I've had this happen where the sound comes back on and I'm sure I've done something, but I couldn't figure out what I did. And so it can mess with the audio if I'm also on the Zoom call. So just just X that piece out altogether.
Oh, I can just totally get rid of this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Window. Okay. That's something I did not realize. I thought I'd have to keep it all open.
And
okay. Well, that makes me feel better.
Okay. Yeah, so it's much less like once you have it set up, then you can just focus on the publicinput.com side for yourself. And then I would just do what I would do is be on Zoom if you want to. Like if you want to have a step on both fields, I would be on Zoom, but then just mute it, right? So that you don't have to worry about hearing any of the sound. You're hearing what the public's hearing. You can respond to them as it makes sense. You don't have to worry about that lag because you're hearing it from their side. And then, yep, so that's one thing that has helped me in meetings at least.
Okay, so I would mute this while like Shane and Becky were presenting.
Correct.
So Katie, because Becky and I are just presenting, we're not taking live questions, the delay is not a problem then.
Correct.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. That's how I understand it. It should just be you guys talking into a Zoom meeting just like you are now.
Okay.
Now,
so the question comes up though, if there's like chat questions that someone's going to push over to Shane and I to try and answer, or an environmental specialist. Is there delay in that happening? Or how does that all go down?
That's a really good question. And I'll jump in and feel free to add more as needed, Katie and Molly. Okay. There's no delay between the copy and paste, right? Because as a chat comes in, if you're pasting that into Zoom, that's happening in real time. So because there's no video component to it, that'll happen in real time. I would, based on the structure that I'm hearing in terms of the meeting though, it sounds like the only place for you to have to answer those is probably going to be like, you're not going to be answering them live with audio is what it sounds like to me. And Katie, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like the chat feature will be on for that first hour. And so you'll have the opportunity to just kind of see these are outstanding questions, or these are questions that maybe people keep bringing up that you may want to address in the formal presentation. Am I on the right track with that?
Yeah, I think that was the concept. Yeah.
Well, that was a good question though. Yeah.
I think but earlier you said that during our presentation, if there are ongoing questions, you should put them in the chat, cut and paste them in the text string and shoot them to Becky and myself.
You're right, Shana, and you're definitely right. I'm sorry, actually. There's a lag.
You're fine.
I think I'm cutting you off.
No, you're fine. So there would be, that could become problematic in that we get a message and they hear our answer however many seconds later. But we plan not to answer questions during that period, right, Katie? The plan is to give a presentation, listen to the feedback, and call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're being very clear that we're not responding to comments that are coming in through voicemail. It's kind of a voice your opinion, and we're listening, and we'll respond to formal comments through a document posted on our website at a later date. So hopefully nobody's really waiting for a real-time answer from a chat or a voicemail where the delay would be an issue. At least that's kind of how we tried to work around it. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think we just have to keep remembering we have chat questions and then we have verbal official comments, right? It's two different things. So we're not going to respond to verbal comments. Chat questions we'll try and do via chat
Before,
and possibly at the end if there's like no verbal comments or something.
Yeah, and if there's more things coming in.
I guess my question is if there's any point that we feel we want to verbally try and answer questions or not. That's still unknown for me if we want to do that or not. So I think that's something we think about. Because otherwise, I'm just like wondering if it's going to be like a silent meeting then, right? More or less. And it's just all in the chat box. And what if there's 500 people trying to chat? There's no way we could honestly try and answer those questions. So that's just the unknown to me of how that comes across to the public. Because if you ask a question, but you're this, the 50th question in line in the chat, are we ever going to get down to question 50? Not that we can verbally deal with that either, but it's just a concern.
Great. Is there a way, Madura, at all, like in Zoom, sometimes you can shut off the chat? Is there any way to do that in public input after the first hour or?
Yeah, that's a great question, Katie. So if you do me a favor and I'll show you how. You'll have to do this in the middle of the meeting, so just keep that in mind. But what you'll do is open up the event set, like the event that you've created, and at 6:30, right when the formal presentation starts, if there's a way for you to communicate that that's happening, like that you're shutting off the public, like the question component or the chat component, then all you have to do is just in the comments section, which is in the middle of the screen, just go to disabled.
Okay.
And then make sure that you press save and then refresh on the back end. And our front end system refreshes every 15 seconds or so. So it will, everyone that's viewing that comment thing will disappear for them 15 to 30 seconds after you actually disable that.
Okay. I did have a question too that maybe this goes too far into the code of the system, but where by law, these chat box things do not count as formal NEPA comments. Mm-hmm. Is there any way to have the button say chat rather than comment? It's just a semantics thing, but I think it could be a little confusing in trying to help people understand what's a formal comment and what's just a chat and a question.
That's a really good question. And one that I'll probably have to run by our engineering team to figure out what kind of, like, I'm sure it's not hard for them to change it. The only thing will be for me to figure, I think their only consideration will be, if we change it, will it change for everybody? I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to change it just for your meeting instead, so that we can do that. So let me take a note of that, and I can get back to y'all by tomorrow and let you know what that looks like.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. That could just, I think, help in the clarity of the instructions, Okay. Could everybody see the Zoom chat? Looks like Madura did. I just sent a test for the group.
Yep.
Okay. Quick follow up to that, Madura. If, I were to act as the moderator, should I also be just in Zoom and have someone else entirely handle this? The other side. This.
I'll be honest with you, my personal preference is to be the moderator on the publicinput.com side and then be in Zoom and just pop in when I need to, in terms of so when I've run meetings with local governments, for example, I usually am the person that manages the chat and does the copying and pasting if needed and plays back the voicemails and that stuff, or lets in people in the speaker queue. And I'm also the person that goes on the Zoom chat and says, hey, everyone, quick reminder, we need to let the public know again that this is what they need to do in order to comment. So that timekeeping and those pieces is probably, I think, the best role, but not the best role. I mean, the best way to accomplish that, those needs. It depends on you, though. I'm sorry to give you that answer.
Yeah. No, and I think maybe there's a difference in moderating the system, and then like verbally being the person to keep everything on track in the presentation.
The verbal host.
The verbal
Yeah,
host,
an
not the
MC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's more of the word for it, is MC as a presenter who
Yes.
keeps the reminders going, keeps the agenda on track, cues Shane and Becky when it's their time to go, cues things to start with the voicemail stuff. But there's an actual behind the scenes moderator that's on the public input side doing exactly what you just explained.
Well,
Yeah,
Katie,
that I agree with you totally. Yeah, MC versus moderator. That's perfect. Those should be two different roles, I think. Yeah, ideally.
Yeah, Shane?
but Katie, when we go live, what's there to moderate or MC at that point? It's just an introduction of me and Becky. We do our thing and then we all sit and listen. Or I guess there's a point where you say, come on, people, talk.
I think you have to go through how it's going to work a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah. Just based on watching a few others go down, I think we have to set the stage with that early, let them know you're going to go through this presentation.
Yeah. Are we trying to fill the time with audio content? Are we willing to go sections of time with it just being dead silent, right? That's what we have to answer for ourselves.
I heard silence is golden, so I think that sounds awesome. So we start this meeting not live. There's an hour of just chatting. No one has said anything on Zoom, right?
Right. There's something on the screen though that tells people what's going on.
Okay. And then 6:30 rolls around. We start the Zoom. We give a presentation. You're constantly saying, if you need to do a comment, if you want to have a comment, dial this number. We'll listen to it and play it back online, right? Okay, I got you.
Before we start, and then probably once kind of leading into the formal post presentation time. 2 times at this point, 3 max probably.
Yeah, because then that would get anyone that joins the presentation midstream or something at the end. If you
Yeah.
want to give a comment, call this number, right?
Yeah, correct.
What we found in the other one is that people forget that how to turn themselves on so that they can start be part of the voicemail or the phone conversation. So the one-time housekeeping wasn't enough because something halfway through made them think, oh, I have a question or I have something I want to say, but I don't remember what I'm supposed to push to unmute myself or to call in and leave a voicemail or whatever the case may be.
Would it be worth putting in a couple of slides during our presentation?
Yeah.
Becky and I just remember, if you need to make a comment on that noise thing we just discussed, this is how you do it.
Absolutely. So it's on
So-
the screen and they're hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the people want to give a comment, they have to then use their telephone, right? Because they're using their computer audio to listen to the presentation.
Right.
So then the whole keys for them to like mute their computer before they try and use the phone, so they're not getting feedback. Is that right?
Well, but this time, and maybe Madura, you can kind of help correct me here, but this time, I mean, they should probably mute their phone, yes, or their computer, so that we're not in the voicemail hearing, ourselves. But at least they won't be calling in with the delay of trying to hear their live comment through the queue. The recording piece kind of takes out that confusion, but we still want to say, mute your speakers while you call in so that we're not getting the feedback from our own presentation into the phone. And that is something I think that needs to be said in the script as well as shown on that slide and kind of the step-by-steps.
Yeah.
But because they are not live with us, we won't get feedback. It'll just be random noise, and we'll be some of that random noise potentially.
Should we try a voicemail coming in? See how it goes?
Yeah. I'll call in and leave one too.
Okay.
I was hoping Becky Parker would, because I'm interested to hear what she might have to say.
My mom's around. I can get her to call in.
Hers might be nice. Becky's,
I'm sure glad I still get to work with you.
Miss you, Becky. I wish your video was on. I missed the chuckle.
So my conference bridge is there. It's connected. It's unmuted. So that's good.
Why don't we all call?
Yeah,
What's the phone number?
great question. It should also be on the slide. It is on the slide. Don't worry. It's just not in front of me right this second. Here we go. Found it.
But is that the admin? What if we're pretending we're public? Because that says for admin, call that.
The admin pin is what's different. The public has the same initial number and code, but you can add that in if you're admin.
That's pretty cool.
And as you see, it tries with the translation. It's just like your cell phone, right? It'll give you kind of a best attempt, but it doesn't always get it 100% right. But that's not bad. And honestly, I'm surprised that it got my name as closely as it did.
Yeah, that is really close. Yeah, that's good. So this is the piece too that I liked, that we kind of just know a little bit more about what's happening by being able to see it, you know, and then you can see that it's done as well at a certain point.
So Katie, how do you play that so that the public, you just, okay.
So Madura, if I play it now, is that going to screw things up? Do we need?
Not at all. Go for it. Just keep in mind that people that are on, well, yeah, yep, go for it.
Sorry, they cut you off.
No, you're fine.
So will Becky and I be able to see this page right here?
Hey, do you want to just practice through the phone call and leaving this message?
So should this be playing for the public side now?
Good, but what I'm doing real quick to just kind of figure out what's happening is, do we have the publicinput.com audio bridge on our Zoom meeting? We don't, right?
Oh, is that the problem?
Yeah, so typically what happens when we're in the Zoom meeting is once the conference is actually live, we should have that conference line in our Zoom meeting. And so I'm wondering if the Zoom meeting that we're that's in the back end of public input, is that the same one as the one that we're on right now? Do you know?
Oh, it could be from another test. It probably is, actually.
That may be the problem. So
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm glad.
You want me to make sure that it's the right?
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay. That was something I probably should have checked ahead of time, but
No worries. This is why we do tests. You're good.
I gave my mom the phone number, so we'll see if she's successful or not.
oh, wonderful. I love it. Okay, just realized I probably need to update the settings, so bear with me for 1 second.
Katie, while you're working on that, I think something else the team needs to think through is whether or not we're going to allow people to comment officially through this voicemail option without having to have it played publicly. I think that's something we have offered in other meetings before.
Or like a private version.
Yeah, just like they'd sit down with the court reporter and have a discussion, and the court reporter would just privately type up that wouldn't be an open mic segment.
Okay, Madura, I don't know now. I'll reshare and see if you can
Yeah, no worries.
throw some insight my way. So I double checked in the actual event. This is the correct Zoom link and numeric password.
Okay.
Is there a piece that I need to do to link that audio bridge?
Let me try. Is there another public meeting that's set up under the same Zoom link? Do you know?
There shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be. This should be the only one. Okay, that helps. Let me just end the conference and restart it.
Okay.
And just double check to see what I might be missing as well. Let me see.
Okay.
And the meeting isn't locked, right, Katie? Like the Zoom meeting that you're in, that we're in right now. Is there like a waiting room by any chance?
There was a waiting room, yes.
Okay. I will give it, like 30 seconds or so, usually 30 to 90 seconds for the audio bridge to do its thing.
Okay,
so
here it is.
On the
there it is. It came in.
It came in. Okay, cool. And so if you want to just admit it and then make sure that that line is unmuted.
Okay.
Then we can try this again.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, we got Becky's mom. Here it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
So now I'll try to play it. Let's see.
So wouldn't this queue also let whoever's running this know if it was like a verbal comment, or if they were to indicate, I don't want this played to the public, but want it as an official comment, then somehow we could do our best effort to screen those, and which ones we play and which ones we don't. Yeah. I don't know. It might be hard to separate depending on what people say or don't say in these messages.
Right. I think you'd have to, again, be pretty explicit, like,
get more confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I feel like we default to these will be played publicly. Like, this is the open mic portion. If you want a private comment submitted, you have options to send an email to this address, like our other options, right? To send in a mailed in comment for privacy. That's just my thought. So was anybody able to hear that?
I'm not hearing anything.
Yes, this is Becky's mother.
Oh.
I'm wondering if this is working. Thank you. Bye.
I love Becky's mom. That was perfect. Tell her it worked.
It worked, Mom.
That's awesome.
Took us 5 minutes, but it worked.
It did work. Yeah. Is there anything, Madura, does it take kind of waiting for a minute before it'll play, or is it just maybe I clicked it weird? I don't know.
I don't think you did anything wrong. It shouldn't take that long to play back. Can you try playing mine and see how long?
Hello there. This is Madura with Public Input calling in to test the voicemail function. I'm speaking very slowly because sometimes it doesn't always pick up on my name or my tone, but hopefully this helps with our test. Thank you.
It's really terrible to hear your own voice. Okay.
It's one of the worst parts of this whole thing.
Okay, so I will check in with my development team because that first one did take like a solid 60 seconds for it to play back, and it should have done what it did the second time, which is interesting. So I'll let our lead developer know that happened today, and I'll get back in touch with y'all if I find out anything, but
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll try and replicate it and see what may have caused that, but let's just pause there.
We'll do a couple more tests too and see if we have it happen again,
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Shane, you asked if you and Becky would be able to see this.
Yeah.
Do you want to be able to see this?
I wouldn't mind seeing the comments as they come in.
Okay. Yeah, I think Madura, we can add them as admin. Is that right? Anybody
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
needs it?
Then I could just share that as my Zoom screen.
It would really be going in circles.
I think it's good, and Becky, for sure for you as well, to kind of understand how it's all laid out for future projects and efforts, you know.
Well, I think even as we watch comments coming in, it might help us slightly adjust what we're going to say in the presentation.
Yeah, if people are calling in ahead of time, yeah, that's a great point. Because they will be able to, right? The information will be on the slides and on the supporting step-by-step instructions. They will be able to leave voicemails before we say starting now, you know. So that's a great point. It might help us guide the discussion a little bit better. Okay. And then just so that you guys can see, here's some chat functions coming in from the public side of things. Thanks, Liz and Madura, for doing that. These, though, just to be sure, what we're hearing on the recordings are only coming up on the view on the admin side, not on the public side. So
That's correct.
Okay. Those are
And then you have any ones that are coming in as private will look grayed out like they do. So they won't have that blue name next to them if they put in their name, for example. And you can adjust that if you decide to want those to be publicly displayed in the future. You can adjust that in the event settings under the comments tab and say, yes, I do want those to show up. But, you know, it doesn't sound like it makes sense for this meeting.
Okay, gotcha. And as a best practice, when we're in the Q&A section where we're just answering via chat for that first hour, I think we've found in testing that when we're trying to answer comments like back here, they don't seem to be posting to the public view. And maybe that's a setting as well that we can work out, but anytime we go to the public view and answer that way, we have success. So it still works and we can get around it. It's just have not been able to see the answers. Like I'll try here, maybe show you.
From that, when you go to like post on publicly on the project website. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. The comment functionality on the meetings itself is newer, and so they probably haven't finished closing the loop on that piece. So you're right in the approaching it from the front end side is what we recommend for sure.
Okay, we'll do that for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
And then I know we're coming up on time here, so I'll just ask in our last minute here, would it be helpful to have another check-in when you do like a formal dry run or anything before that? I mean, honestly, well done on all of this. You have all of your ducks in a row and it looks really good the way y'all have it set up. But I just want to make sure that we're supporting you as much as it would be helpful and not like stepping on toes as well. So, you know, what would be useful for your team, for everyone here in terms of how we can support you moving forward?
Yeah, and we've set up a couple of kind of weekly check-ins with our internal team to get this really dialed in. I think the next step for us will be the actual content and what we're presenting, the script that we have going along with this. So I think now that we understand what everyone's role should be and how we should all be participating a little bit better, we'll get that going. But I think a dry run probably that week before, maybe toward the end of the week, would be really great. Madura, if you could join us for that.
Yeah.
And potentially even the one that we do the day before. Would you be willing to do?
We would be happy to. Yeah, no, 100%. Honestly, the biggest thing with us is just if we have the availability, we will absolutely be on. So the sooner we get it on our calendars, the easier. So the fact that we have, you know, a few weeks out is beautiful. If you don't mind just letting us know when those are, whenever you're able to set those up, then we'll just make sure that our team has it blocked off. And if for some reason I'm not able to be here, then I know that, you know, we'll make sure that another member of our team is. I should be able to. Right now it looks like it's probably fine, but I just am saying, yeah,
okay.
As a backup.
Perfect. And Becky Parker, I know that you're kind of managing that side of things for the department. So of course we'll work through you to get that done. So we're all working on it together. Is there anything else from this group, Shane, Becky, either Becky or from our team while we have Madura today? That was very helpful for me, but I want to open it up to the rest of the group. Okay. Well, good. Thank you. That will help us identify who's doing what and get our internal process down a little bit, and we'll get you some dates for dry runs.
That's wonderful. Nice job, everyone. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the time. Thanks to
Yeah.
everybody for getting together today.
Have a good one, y'all. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
There's Becky. Hey, Becky.
There she is. Hello.
See you later.
See ya. Thanks for your help, Becky.
Thank you.
Yep.